Hi, this is Chris, Video Game Dust Sleeves, and you're listening to the VGDS podcast with my co-host, Linda the Gamer Girl.
Hey, Internet.
And my guest gamers, Bones Z06.
Yo, yo.
Dan Dragon.
Hello, everybody.
And new to the podcast, the Atari Creep.
What's going on?
I'd like to start off with the first segment, Sleeve It or Leave It. The first game is Galaga for the NES. Dan, would you sleeve it or leave it?
Yes, this is a pretty solid classic game, so it definitely deserves a sleeve.
Linda?
Yes, same thing. It deserves a sleeve.
Bones?
I am going to go the opposite and not sleeve that.
And Atari Creep?
Most certainly sleeve that game. Classic to the max.
Okay, on to the next one. Space Invaders. Bones, sleeve it or leave it?
I think I'm going to skip that one too.
Dan?
Yeah, it's fairly common, but yeah, I mean, I like this game, so interestingly enough, I don't think I've had you sleeve this for me yet, Chris, but so maybe I should get this one made.
The Atari Creep?
Oh yeah, most definitely. The Atari port of Space Invaders is my favorite port of Space Invaders of all time. I'd sleeve the hell out of
I
And Linda?
Yes, for sure.
Okay, the next title is Pac-Man. We'll start with Dan.
Back in the day, I was a little disappointed when this game came out because it was nothing like the arcade. I would have said no 20 years ago, but definitely over time, I've gone fond of this game as it's gotten older, so I would sleeve it.
The Atari Creep?
You know, as much as people dislike it, again, for what Dan just said, because it was so different, I didn't know anything other than that anyway, so it's so nostalgic for me. So I would definitely sleeve it. Heck yeah.
Linda?
Same thing. I would sleeve it because it's classic. You gotta go for that.
Bones?
Yeah, I'd sleeve that one.
Oh, wow, you're actually going to join the party.
Yeah, I'm going to sleeve that one.
Holy moly.
I'm being part of the in crowd.
Okay. Okay, the next one is Super Mario Brothers 2. Atari Creep, would you sleeve it or leave it?
That one I'm going to say leave it. I didn't really ever get into it. I jumped from 1 to 3.
Not too many people, honestly, not too many people did get into this one.
It's not because I think it's a bad game. I just didn't get it at the time. And thus, moving on, I just never went back to it. That's all.
Gotcha. All right, Bones?
Hell yeah, I'd sleeve that.
Linda?
I would sleeve it. I liked it too.
And Dan?
Yeah, I like this game. I have fond memories of this game. I'd probably sleeve it.
Okay, on to the next segment, which is Logo Sleeve of the Month, which actually goes to the Atari Creep Walk the End Timer, Alzheimer's.
Yes.
Nice.
If you happen to stumble upon this podcast and you want to donate to Alzheimer's, this is the time to do it. And actually, you even contact the Atari Creep, and he actually does this whole shindig with the Alzheimer's. If you are looking to get this sleeve, they are available for sale. All proceeds go to the walk for the Atari Creep.
Excellent.
On to the next segment. Guess that box art. Now, I have a suspicion that few of you may know this one. And I don't know who to pick first. I'm not picking Dan. I'm not picking the Atari Creep.
Yeah.
I want to say Bones might know this one, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go with Bones.
Oh, snap.
Oh, man, why you got to pick me, man? I'm going to know what this is. I'm assuming it's an Atari game, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, Jesus, I don't know, man. Is it... I don't know. Is it arcade pinball? I don't know.
No. You know what? I'm going to give you another guess, Bones. Go ahead.
I don't know. It's not Jungle Hunt. I know that. I'm just going to go with Mr. Do because that's the only other thing I think of off the top of my head.
No, it's not Mr. Do.
Okay, well then I don't know. We can move
Holy
on.
crap! We stumped Bones.
Wow. Now we know what console he's not really
Yeah,
familiar with.
we just get
I
back in
only have
time.
like 16 Atari games.
All right, so I'm going to go with Linda next because I know you two, you already know it. Go ahead, Linda.
Color scheme, I'm gonna say Pitfall, but I really am getting a little stumped on the first one.
No, it's not Pitfall. You want another? I'll give you another guess.
It's not Pitfall. Color scheme. I don't know. You picked a good section on this one.
Bones, you want another one? Another guess?
The ghost with the most. I don't know.
Okay.
Is that a game?
No.
No, it's not a game.
It's Boo.
What are you? You're just randomly thinking of anything.
Well, I thought I see a ghost or something like the Stay Puft Marshmallow looking guy there.
I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a hint. That's an alligator.
Yes.
There you go. See, now I know Dan knows for sure, and I know the Atari Creep knows. So, do you guys team up together?
Pitfall was a great
And figure
guess,
it
but it's
Yeah,
not
because
that.
I'm thinking of color scheme. I'm thinking
What?
alligator. I was thinking of something like that. I was like, alligator, Pitfall.
Hey, do you guys know of any other
You're on
hints?
the right track, Linda.
Huh?
You're on the right track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say adventure, but I doubt it's that.
It's not a venture.
Oh.
Huh. I just don't know.
Think of green.
Well, that helps me. There's like 50 million games that are green.
Well, that green thing you're seeing is his leg.
Yeah.
His leg.
Space Invaders. Yeah, come on. I don't.
Are you serious,
More
Bones?
specifically,
Wow.
Okay, so
Dude, I don't know.
the thing with the leg is an animal too.
Venture?
No, Bones already said that.
Oh, my bad.
What else can we say? Dan, you got another hint for them?
Think of
Galaxian.
No.
well.
I don't know.
Alligator.
Think of a swamp.
Frogger.
Aha!
You got
Good
it.
job, Bones.
Frogger? No
Frogger.
way.
Oh, it's Frogger.
Frogger?
Nice.
Yes, Frogger.
Yes, it is. Frogger.
Ribbit.
Okay, I have no idea
Oh,
what the
that's
Frogger
bad.
case
I was
even
just
looks
playing
like.
Frogger,
So.
but I was playing the new one.
Okay, on to the next
Now you know
one.
what a speck looks like of it.
Oh, I see it now. Okay.
There you go.
It's like his toe.
It's the frog's leg right there, and the
Yeah, I
toe.
see it now. I gotcha.
I think you're looking at the crotch of the frog.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I did that just for the creep.
Nice.
Oh my lord. Psychological nudity.
Yes.
Psychological nudity.
Okay, and I already know the creep knows the next guess that box art. Dan,
Yes.
you may or may not know this one.
No, I know this one.
Okay, you know this one. Let's go with Bones again.
Oh my dear Lord! Let me think of what else I can think of. What else do I have? Does it Jungle Hunt? No, I don't think that's what the cover looks like on Jungle Hunt. Dude, I have no idea.
Linda?
Color scheme, I'm gonna say Moon Patrol.
No.
Oh, okay.
I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
Bones, I'm working on this sleeve.
That helps me. He's got like 50 million sleeves, man.
Adventure?
No.
I know I'd love to see a 3D version of this sleeve.
It is coming.
Nice.
Dan actually put it in.
Yeah, this is really zoomed in. I'll give you a hint.
Yeah, no.
So, like, I don't
That's
think,
not like.
if I didn't ask for a sleeve, I would not know this game probably.
Put
But
it this way,
Yeah.
it looks like someone needs to pluck.
yeah, yes, that's true. And then pay attention to something in the foreground. It's yeah. There's a pattern there that would maybe give you a hint.
Well, I know you did Missile Command 4, so I know it's not that.
Nope, it's not Missile Command.
Somebody's face zoomed in.
Yes.
Yeah,
I like
actually,
that.
yeah.
Who has a face zoomed in?
Come on, Linda. Carry the team,
All right,
dude.
so I'll give
Carry
you
the
another
team.
hint. I'll give you another hint. There's obviously that thing to the left is a tree,
Yeah.
and there's something hanging on that tree.
An apple? A leaf?
They hang upside down. It's an animal.
Haunted house.
Yes, you
Yeah.
got it. There it is.
Yeah.
Bing, bing, bing.
Oh snap! Okay, that's the eye. Okay.
Yes.
Yep, that's
Yep.
the eye and the eyebrow
That's
and the
right.
tree to the left
Eyebrows.
side.
I've
This was
never
on.
seen that case.
I should have known this, man. I
It's
love
funny.
this cover art, but it's
It's
so
funny.
zoomed in. Oh, okay, it's so zoomed in. That's what confused
Yes,
me.
it's zoomed in crazy. It's like
Yeah, you're getting better at this. I will say, Dust Sleeves, you're getting better at this.
I'm trying.
'Cause I
I'm
would have.
really trying.
It took me a minute, but I was like, color scheme wise, I was like, it's got to be something.
Okay,
Yeah.
now we're gonna let the Atari Creep take the floor and we'll ask them some questions. First off, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about what you do?
All right. Well, my name's Chris. I call myself the Atari Creep. I got a goofy YouTube channel. I'm on all the other platforms too, if anyone cares to follow me there. I didn't actually intend to start a YouTube channel. It was actually done on an obligation that never ended up coming to be. I was a member of this thing called the Gamer Geek Nation. It was a Facebook group that grew rapidly and a little too quick for its britches. And we were all supposed to have individual little YouTube channels, and then we were all going to collaborate, almost like a network, like Channel Awesome or something to that effect, or Screw Attack, if you remember them. But that never ended up happening, so I just decided to stick with it. My main gig is cartridge-based gaming, anything probably pre-8-bit NES and Master System is my main bag. But as long as it comes on a cartridge, I basically cover it, play it, or I'm enthusiastic about it. But I try to stay to the older stuff only because I'm more nostalgic for that. I venture into other things too. I'm more of an artist than I am a gamer, to be quite honest with you. So I try to incorporate some of that with builds, prop builds, usually nerdier type stuff, Star Wars and horror or something like that. I'm also a toy collector. I throw that in once in a while. So it's kind of like a mishmash of this, that, and the other thing. I basically do my channel on feel. I don't plan anything. I don't make any scripts. If I look at, like today, I upload that Pac-Man one. If I looked at it and said, you know what, I think today's the day that's going to go up, and it just happens. And that's really it, to be honest with you. There's not anything more or less to it.
Okay. Does anybody have a first question for Chris?
Yeah, I'll start.
ahead,
Yep. So, how did you first get into video gaming, and what made you focus on the Atari?
That was actually my first system. When I was a little kid, my folks brought home a Sears Telegames. More likely because they had a Sears credit card, you know. A handful of games. And that was my introduction to it. Actually, I played a lot more Atari before I even touched my first arcade machine. So Atari's pretty much where I started. So after I lost touch with gaming, so to speak, you know, I don't know if most people do it, but you start off pretty big as a kid, then you kind of get rid of it. You do your teenage thing, then you start getting nostalgic and you pull back into it. I found my old Atari at my mom's house, and that's what actually sparked the idea of, you know what? I want to play these things, but there's plenty of other things I never got to explore. So I just kept up with it and became and I'm throwing up quotations culture from that point on. But that's pretty much why Atari, because that's what I started with.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly like how I started. It was the first console my dad brought home, and like you, I mean, the video games crashed for a while, and it just wasn't popular, and so that's what I got out. I got out of video games, and then when Nintendo came, when Nintendo came out, that's when video games started to come back, and that's how I got back into it. But I definitely still had a lot of memories of my Atari.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. Oh god. And it's funny. I didn't really necessarily lose the gaming thing with the crash. In fact, I benefited from it. I didn't even know there was one. I just knew there were cheap games available. And I
Yeah.
carried on through the NES and then eventually into Genesis. But I backed away from it for my teenage years. I thought I was going to become a rock star. So, I kind of put that stuff away and was too busy growing my hair long, playing my guitar, and chasing after girls, and playing once in a while the Genesis would come out. But the crash itself didn't really hinder much for me. In fact, it helped me out, if anything.
What titles do you gravitate towards?
Obviously, arcade style games. Because I started back then. My favorite genre is Space Invader style games. Galaxian, Galaga.
And
What's that?
Human Hunt.
Yeah. Just simple, mostly 1-2 screens. I mean, I do venture into the other games that have larger possibilities, so to speak. But more times than not, like if I stream I do it on Sunday nights on Instagram. If I can't think of anything, I'm playing Galaxian to start the night to kind of wet my whistle, so to speak.
So you got like a little ritual going on.
Yeah.
Hey, why not?
Yeah.
So you prefer Galaxian over Galaga?
I do.
Yes.
Not that I dislike the other. There's just something about Galaxian being kind of that nice middle ground between Space Invaders and Galaga. It's still simpler, but it still has, for me, the flair of Galaga.
Yeah, I like Galaxian better than Galaga too. I'm one of the few people who do that because most people like Galaga way better,
Yeah.
it's way more popular. But the reason why I like Galaxian best is because that was the very first game I ever played in an arcade. I was at a movie theater, and it was in the lobby, and my dad was, I guess I was acting up. My dad just stuck a quarter, like, here, play this, and keep quiet for a while. and then that's the first arcade game I ever played. So I always like Galaxian better than Galaga.
Nice.
So, how many names did you have before you finally settled on Atari Creep?
You know what? Honestly, I was stuck in a pinch. Like I said, I wasn't intending on doing anything like this. And they're like, well, you got to come up with a name now. And I was like, shit, I don't know. I love Atari. And at the time, I was building a Fiji mermaid. And they kept calling me a creeper for it. The thing was pretty disturbing looking. It was large. I mean, it fit on my motorcycle. So, I just crashed the two together. I didn't really come up with another name. I just said, all right, it has to have Atari in it. And then because the word creep kept coming around, I just threw that in there.
So Creep was just because you were doing a mermaid figure?
A Fiji mermaid, yes.
A Fiji mermaid.
A Fiji mermaid. Like a sideshow cat thing, half monkey, half fish kind of situation.
Got you.
Yeah, freak show stuff.
Besides Atari, do you play anything other than Atari?
Oh goodness, yeah. I don't just stick to the second generation. Genesis is my favorite console. But I try to expand it all over the place. I'm very selective with my games, though. I definitely don't go modern because I just can't do the double thumbstick thing. NES, I have a few limited titles I'll play on that. I'm a really big Master System fan. I'll go through that entire catalog over the course of a year if I could. I'm really now just getting into the TurboGrafx. Let's see, the Lynx, of course. I enjoy the Lynx. I didn't really get too much into the Jaguar. I think that's pretty much... Oh, lately I've actually been getting into a lot of 8-bit computers. I got a TI-99 and an Atari 8-bit as well, the Atari 800, and I've been exploring those two systems a lot lately.
How big of a collection do you have physical? Like, do you have a lot of games or?
No, not anymore. My collecting habits have done pretty weird roller coastery things. Um, I would say right now I'm probably close to 500 max.
Is that mostly Atari?
Mostly second generation games. I would say the majority of it is Atari, but it's a combination of Atari and television and Coleco. There's a handful of Genesis titles up too. I don't have any NES right now, but I still have your sleeve, Linda.
Oh, cool.
I'm trying to think. I have zero Super Nintendo. Of course, I got a bunch of 8-bit stuff for the computer lines. A handful of random CD-based games, but nothing that I would ever really play. Just things that have been given to me that I just can't get rid of for one reason or the other.
So
yeah.
what's your favorite game of all time?
Favorite of all time? Oh, I'll just go out and say Castlevania 4.
Did not expect that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, neither did I.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you have a reason behind that? Why Castlevania 4?
It spoke to me. I was back when we had the schoolyard fights. And I didn't like the Super Nintendo, but there was just something about that game that called to me. It had everything in it that I loved. I mean, the adventure was cool. It was challenging, but wasn't too challenging for my simple brain. And I loved the first Castlevania, and but it kicked my ass all the time. But when I popped that in, it just had that right level of creepy atmosphere, which I'm a big fan of. I'm a big Universal Monsters freak. So it kind of had that classic sensibility of that as well. And it was hard to find that in a video game at the time. It was either disgusting horror or it was kiddie horror, like Smurfs, Adventure or something, it just had that perfect balance of everything I was looking for at the time. And I've just grown to love it. I could pop it in today and run through it, not be bored at all.
Different. All right, Linda, do you have any questions?
Yeah. So when you go to like a flea market or to any like swap meet, do you have anything in particular that you're looking for?
Not so much anymore. Before, yes, I would look for specific, of course, the Atari and Coleco and television stuff. But I would look for stuff that was interesting or something I think I would want to play. I never really focused on any specific brand or console. I would just see cartridges on the table and I would thumb through them. And if something looked all right, I would pick it up and give it a try. And if I didn't like it, I would trade it in for something else somewhere else later on. But lately, no, I don't really have much of a focus. I just actually go and look. And more times than not, even I probably won't even come home with anything. I just haven't been really into the whole collecting vibe for the past year and a half. I just haven't been feeling it.
Any reason why?
Well, it started with, I'm in a 2-bedroom apartment, so I had to consolidate everything I've had. I think it's mainly market, availability, and the thrill of it's just not there anymore. I don't get excited.
Burnout.
I remember the days of just getting excited about just going out. I had a routine in every store and every flea market, went specific directions, and there was just this whole. Even if you came home with nothing, you still had that satisfaction of the hunt, so to speak. And it was even more sweet when you did come home with something. I just don't feel that anymore. I don't know if just because I did it for so long and I got almost anything I wanted at one time or another. Because I did have my own game room at one time and it was loaded. So I don't know if it's a been there, done that, or if it's the market, or if I just lost the love of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think everybody goes through that phase, though. Honestly,
Yeah.
It's just something that happens. You just get either you might be just tired of it, because
right. And it's not to say I don't look for deals. I'm working on a deal for the ecosystem right now, and I just missed out on a really rad Dreamcast setup for like $50.
Wow.
I missed it by a few minutes, and I do get bummed out when I miss things. But yeah,
So I mean, there's always going to be that place to where your gaming is in your roots, just like it is ours. So like, but you're always going to have that fallout. It's typical for everybody to have that. And you were speaking of roots, right? Roots for your game hunting. I just started that with actually Bones and Dan. I have a circle that I do, a loop.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they kind of get a gist of my area and how I got like 3 retro stores within like 15 minutes of each other.
Okay.
It's impossible for us to come home without buying something.
Oh, right on. Yeah. When I lived in Arizona for 15 years, and actually hunting there was much easier, a little more plentiful, and it was more realistic as far as finances are concerned. But there were a number of stores. The thrift store scene out there was huge. I mean, some towns had 2 or 3 Goodwills. Never mind the mom and pop shops. Plus, we also had a place called Desert Industries, which was amazing. They didn't care what it was. They just put like a buck sticker on it. I know a buddy of mine who found a what the heck is it called? A little Samson there for $1.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's,
But did I move
because
back?
the person just didn't know what they had.
No, the store doesn't care.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
It's a religious-based store, so it's
Oh, I
They're
got
just
you now.
trying to
Okay.
make profit. They're just trying to make money. Just
yeah. They don't have any.
No,
I-
it's not. It's not to make money. I know what you're talking about. It's like an Amish kind of like. They're just trying to make a livelihood. They're not trying to make a profit because if they make a profit, then they feel bad for it.
Yeah, I suppose it's got something to do with that. But then I moved back to the Boston area, and there's like no market here. We got 3 stores. They're way overpriced, higher than eBay in most cases.
yeah, honestly, anything on the East Coast is horrible for gaming. It's hard to find, like, unless you start going down south.
Right. Yeah, when I moved here, I got rid of most of my collection. Thinking, I'll just eventually get it back.
Well,
Hey,
we
Bones.
don't see much when we go out as far as like Atari and television. The older
Yeah.
systems aren't really around. Even Master System is far few between.
Right.
Come over here to Vegas. They're everywhere. I went to a store, and there was boxes just sitting in the floor, just chilling. And I told the guy, I was like, "Hey, can I see those?" And he goes, "What?" I go, "Can I see the Atari games?" He goes, "What? How? Hold on, I got some more in the back." He like threw out like 5 boxes of Atari games, and they all look like they've been through hell.
Yeah.
That's something about Atari games. Like, they always look like they've been through hell.
Well, but I mean, it looked like they just sat there, like they didn't give a crap. They didn't even taking care of their inventory at all. It looked like they
Curious,
just threw them in a box.
what was the prices on them?
That was
Um, He knew what he had, so it wasn't like overpriced, but it was like, how much do you want for this? Oh, $5. How much do you want for this? $10. So it was just, he eyeballed it, looked at what I had, and just gave me a price.
okay.
I was
It was
gonna
at
say,
least-
if he was trying to get rid of them, like $1 a piece, you know.
Well,
No,
see,
it
that's
wasn't
the
$1 a
other thing.
piece. Because I was asking for like, I was asking for roll and a couple other games that were not like, they were uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, Atari's funny that way, and television is funny that way too. Because these stores or whatever will have just a dusty box of them, and you would think they just want to get rid of them. I'm not trying to rip them off or make them give them away, but then as soon as someone shows some interest, they're like, "Oh, it's weird."
Yeah, it's they don't, I don't know why they don't want to get rid of them, but
They
they're
want
not
to make
getting-
a dollar.
The funny thing is, like, you guys are right. Like, they sit in there, and then, like you said, the guy was like, "You want to look at them?" Like,
Yeah.
you would think, okay, well, somebody's finally here to buy the Atari games. Let me just pretty much give them to her because they're not going to move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, I need to start beefing up my Atari collection.
Yes, you do.
I have maybe 20 titles, possibly.
Wow. I guess I just hang out with a lot of old guys.
Well, I have a couple of hacks, so I don't know if those count.
They count.
They count.
Then they count. So then I got.
What ones do you have?
I have I have 2 repros of
The Wizard games,
Halloween and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
right? Okay.
I'm not paying $80 for those.
Oh, hell no.
And then I have that hack of Evil Dead.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
The one I played this past Halloween?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a guy on Etsy that makes them.
I know, that's where I found the title.
Yeah.
That's cool.
There's a guy who has a whole bunch of, he just makes repros from just
Makes
available.
repros and hacks, and they look really good.
They do.
The labels look legit.
Oh, really? Oh, great.
Yeah, I think I've seen that seller. He makes not just Atari, other systems too, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
but
yeah.
some of them are special orders. So like Atari is always readily available, but
Mhm.
anything else you have to special order it.
Okay. Yeah, I was looking at a He-Man hack that he did actually today. It's basically Kung Fu.
Yeah.
But it's done in a Masters of the Universe vibe.
Yeah.
For the NES.
I don't know, like it's hard. Like I don't know. I see a lot of them that I want, but then I'm like,
And you double guess, yeah.
Yeah.
I get
What's
that.
he charge for a hack?
Yeah, I was about to ask that question.
35, 40
Not
bucks.
so bad. Yeah, like depending on the hack, the more work he puts into it, the average is about 35 to 40.
Did
Is
it
that-
come with box and
Yeah, I was
everything?
just
or-
about to ask that.
No, they're cart only.
No, they're just, yeah.
Cart only.
Is he just taking an old cartridge and doing like a
No, I don't see them. I've seen them. They don't look old carts. They look like they've been made for his hacks.
Because we weren't at any combats going, you know.
No, it's new boards and new.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I'd rather not see old games get destroyed and turn into something
Oh,
new.
he's not doing that. I can see the carts. They look fresh. They look brand new.
Because
Nice.
eventually, the more of those old titles you destroy, the less that we have to play.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
see.
buy anything. I don't buy anything gutted. I've never bought anything where somebody like, unless the game is dead, the board is dead,
Uh-huh.
then I don't mind if you use it. But you can't tell if they actually knew that the board was dead or they just decided to destroy a dollar game.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Dan. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that with 3D printing, I've seen a lot of people make like new cartridge shells for their games in fancy colors and stuff. So hopefully that's what he's doing instead of gutting games.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
not 3D printing them. It looks like they're a mold that somebody did.
Yeah, probably
Uh,
somebody in China or Japan.
I've
or-
seen them
Yeah,
online.
there's a bunch of like on eBay and a bunch of other stores that literally they just sell like clear and
Yeah,
same color as the original art, and you can buy them in bulk.
Yep.
Yeah.
he just buys whatever somebody's molding. They mold them all the time over there, and it's for any card-based games, pretty much.
Yeah, you could literally buy a clear purple shell for an N64 game anytime
Yep.
you want.
Yeah. Any system, really.
Yep.
A buddy of mine, he calls himself the Wizard. He's constantly making stuff like that and buying see-through cartridges. He puts slime in them and stuff like that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, that is
I have
weird.
a Ghostbusters 2 cart that glows in the dark. It's clear.
Yeah, that's
Jared, the
cool.
Wizard?
Huh?
Yeah? Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
he's a good guy.
yeah, I bought a couple carts from a bunch of stores on
Okay.
Etsy and a bunch of stores on like, and I want to get a couple from the website you always go to, Atari.io.
Okay. Nice.
I want to go there too, but it's just every time I want to get that title, by the time I save up the money to get it, it's already gone.
Yeah.
Bones, you got a question for the Atari Creep?
Yeah, I know you love Atari, obviously. Now, the 5200, I have one. Do you have one?
I don't have one right now that's functioning.
Yeah, okay, because that was going to be my question. Do you have problems with one if you do have it? Because my controllers are complete crap.
Oh no,
And-
that's the
Common.
name of the game when it comes to 5200. It was a
Common.
third-party company who designed it for them. They use flex circuits for everything, and they fail like instantly. I know people who have 9 or 10 different controllers, and not a single one of them work properly. You can buy reconditioned kits from them on eBay, and they're like the actual gold leads and everything, and those will work fairly well for enough time, I guess, to get you through. I think there's a guy named Ed Ladden who's going to be making. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here with that one, but I think he's going to be making reproduction or replacement controllers for it. But when it comes to the 5200, the controller busted. That's just the name of the game with that.
Yeah.
I've seen so many people talk about how bad those controllers are and how hard it is to find a good working controller. When you find one, they pay up the wazoo just because they want one.
Yeah, and you know what? And here's the worst thing about it, guys. When they're working perfectly, it's still junk. It's this weird.
Bad.
It's a
Wow.
weird.
You guys are
sticker.
so making me
bad.
want to
It's like-
buy this console.
It's just the
There's
controller's
a lot of
bad.
great points on it, but honestly, if you want to experience the 5200 without all the frustration, your best bet is to either spend a little bit more and get an XEGS system from Atari, or even just go into the 8-bit line of computers, because that's all 5200 was 8-bit architecture made to be a home console, and the only reason it failed was because of that stupid controller.
And it's just the controller failing. It's not the console itself.
Yeah, it's just a controller.
Fine.
No, I don't usually have to fight to get the game to work, but the one controller I have almost always goes to the left, and the other one intermittently goes in and out and just stops working. So I've always had a problem with them. So I don't usually tend to go to it that often. I'll pick the 2600. That'll work, I'd say 9 out of 10 times for me.
Yeah. I mean, if you're really dying to play the system, I can lead you to a few places to find replacement controllers altogether. I mean, of course, Atari Age is a wealth of information. Their forums are just amazing. I don't frequent it because I just don't do the forum thing too often. Speaking to a guy named Willie from Arcade USA, he's got a lot of connection as far as hardware like that, aftermarket hardware, even stuff that if you like to tinker, put things together, it's a kit. And you get the 3D shell for the controller, and you actually solder it all together and get it working yourself,
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, really good stuff. He just recently did a few videos for a few 5200 replacement controllers. I don't remember where he got them from, but I do remember the boards were on back order last time I checked. But it might be something you might want to look into.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Dan. Do you have any of those?
It's funny. I was going to ask you the exact same question about the 5200 because I have one, and again, it doesn't work. I mean, the system works, but the controllers don't. And it sounds like Bones. I have the exact same problem. Mine goes left, and so all the time. So but I'm not as good with modding stuff as you guys. Bones, if you ever want to do the 5200 mod, I'm right there with you, man.
All right. Well, if I do it, well, should I say when I do it? For you right away.
Yep.
And then when you guys figure that out, I will eventually buy that console.
Yeah, I mean,
it's on my get list. It is really.
My 5200 didn't work from day one, so that's the one system I'm dying to play because I have games for it, and I can never really play them in entirety. So I'm really, and nobody seems to be interested in emulating this or making new re-releasing these games or anything. So
right,
yeah.
But the reason why is because everybody just switches over to the 7800 because it was backwards compatible with the 2600.
Yeah, that too.
I don't have a 7800. Do you?
I do.
I figured you did.
I need one of those too.
Yeah, I did at one time, but from moving, I just got rid of it.
Yeah.
I had a couple other questions. So, what's your most prized possession? Your most valuable game that you own for Atari or whatever system?
Prized possession would be actually a VFD tabletop game I have. It's called Dracula. It was by a company called Epox. It's similar to. Do you remember the Coleco tabletop games that came out?
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
It's that kind of idea as far as the game is concerned. It's probably the most valuable thing I have here too. I don't have any games that are valuable per se.
But you
I
do
guess
have a
Frankenstein.
couple. You have a couple rare Atari games.
I do. I got like Frankenstein's Monster. If I want to talk about games that are valuable, I think out of what I have, it's the Sega Genesis. It's my Superman for the Death and Return of Superman, or Truxton. I can't remember. Those are two of the ones I've actually. And I have both of those CIB. So I guess if you want to talk of value for an actual cartridge game, one of those two would probably be it. But my most valued possession right now is that Dracula VFD game.
That's cool. I've never seen that before.
Me neither.
Oh, look it up. It's it's
Yeah.
a wicked looking console.
It has a video on it.
Oh yeah, I got a video on it.
Yeah, we'll have to check it out.
Brad.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Another question I had. So, what about modern gaming? Do you have like a Switch or a PS4 or anything like that?
No, the most modern I have is I have a Wii U that a friend of mine in Arizona, Mr. Paku, that's his name here online, modded and hooked me up with, mainly for my kids, the girls. He loaded up with a whole bunch of games on it on an external hard drive. But that's as modern as I got here, and I don't even use it that often.
And my last question is, what do you think about this new Atari VCS project?
Oh,
And
God. I have a whole
What, you dread it?
You know what? No, okay, this is the Atari VCS. I'll try to sum it up like this: it's a bunch of guys who had an idea, and I think what happened is they popped off a little too soon before they really got things going. They didn't expect what was coming.
I don't think they thought that many people were going to donate that many consoles, wanting to get that many consoles.
Right, and the shame of it all is they're not being forthcoming with what's going on. If they had come out and was like, "Look, oops, we're gonna do something, but just bear with us," I suppose I would have a different feeling for them. But right now, I think it's three guys, which it really is.
Oh yeah, it used to be a bigger team, but they all dropped out. Most of them.
Well, they're not even paying some of them, which is the weirdest thing. But we're not going to get into the politics of it. But it's this goofy company that's trying to ride off of the legacy of something they had nothing to do with while destroying it at the same time. I have no doubt it'll come out. Something will come out. But it's going to be an underpowered, overpriced PC, mini PC. And it's sad that $3 million worth of people's money are going to be wasted. But you know what? Every time I make a video about it, so maybe those people will be happy with their $400 microcomputer that doesn't have an actual Atari operating system or anything. I don't know. I'm frustrated with them. I wish they would treat the name a little bit more respectfully. I wish they had treated the project with a little more thought and not just blow their load instantly and then disappear because they fucked up. I wish them the best, I guess.
Yeah, I was so close to backing that, but it was a little bit high priced, and I wasn't sure about the whole project. So
yeah,
you make me feel a little bit better about that.
No, you're not alone. I was debating about that too, and then I found Atari Creep through those videos because I was making videos on it myself. And I just saw so much shady crap going on.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing as he did. Like, for one, not to say anything that was going on from day one and then expecting everybody just to drop money. I was like, I'm not dropping money until you tell me what you're going to do. And then they got an idea from another guy who's no longer there, and they're having a lawsuit going on, which they're not talking about either.
Yeah.
Like, how you can just drop the guy who... That's why they changed the name. They were Atari Box, and then they had to drop the affiliation of Atari Box to be able to not pay him anything at all for his idea, and became Atari VCS. Yeah. So that to me was like, really? You just dropped the guy who brought you the idea, and then you're gonna just like kick him to the curb, and then say he didn't do anything with it? That to me is like, why are you doing that? And then every time and then whenever one guy it's sad that they bring a spokesperson to an event and he don't even know anything about the system at all. Why even have the event? Like, you guys are just destroying yourselves even farther down. That's what made me upset about that, and that's why I didn't back it. And then I was like, oh, I did want it at one time, but then they're like, oh, it's limited quantities. You have to pre-order to be able to get this special limited edition wood grain one. It's not.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna throw money down just for a wood grain system. I'm not gonna just for the look. I'm not about looks. I want a functioning system that I can play things on, and know what I'm getting from day one. I don't want a shell that I don't know what when you crack it open. What's going to happen? Am I going to see a board that doesn't even look like you soldered it correctly? Is it going to be some person just half-assed did it? I want to see everything from day one. And that's why I was so also weary that it wasn't on Kickstarter. That's another thing that made me weary. Is like, you're throwing it on one that doesn't have to have anything to be able to get it going.
So what interface did they use if they didn't use Kickstarter?
He used
Indiegogo.
yeah.
Indiegogo.
Indigo?
Indiegogo doesn't need anything. You can literally just go and say, I want to make a soda machine. And you can have people back that up. And you don't have any proof. And they back you, and then they could just run with their money. And there's no way to stop them.
You can't get your money back either.
Nope.
It's in the contract. What you're giving is to them is for labor to work on the thing. And then to build it.
Oh yeah, we got so much trust in people like that.
Yeah.
And that's the problem is the company that's running Atari now is just throwing their name to anybody who will pay for it. At Games, they were there for the longest time, was just not giving a crap about the consoles and the plug and plays that they were making.
Yep.
My gosh.
But you know what? And the ironic thing about that is at least those had some kind of, I don't want to say quality to them, but there was some functionality to it.
It was just nostalgia. I mean,
Yeah.
the very first one was actually looking like the 5200, which I was amazed by that. And then the newest one looks like the actual 2600.
Right.
So they have some thought process into it. It's just the sound is like I don't know. It's just
Well, the whole
it's one of those
flashback
things-
thing started before this guy bought Atari anyway. The flashback has been going since the beginning of the 2000s, I believe.
Yeah.
With that first one that looked like the 7800.
Yeah, but you knew what you were getting when you bought that one to an extent.
And that's
you know?
that's what I'm saying, you know. You know, even if they say we're going to come out with a new flashback next year, you don't have to question what's happening. And Linda even mentioned that they were at a convention, and they weren't even at a convention. They were at a hotel across the street from the convention.
Yeah, they were in a hotel room, and they asked every single person that was interviewing to go to the hotel room, and they handed them Sega and Atari, and all this like merchandise was out there, and they're like, here's an Atari hat. It's like, what? And they were like, oh, what is the controller going to be like? I don't know. What's the console going to have?
That's
I don't know.
creepy. Hey, come
And
to my
it's like-
hotel room.
Yeah, they didn't buy a space anywhere in there because there was Microsoft, there was Sega, there was every single kind of company was there, but they were in a hotel.
You know why they didn't have a space? Because they didn't have a product. They had a wooden mock-up.
It
And
wasn't even a mock-up, it was just a shell.
it wasn't even that. It was wood, bondo, and paint.
Yeah.
It was literally a prototype maquette, as we would call it.
Yeah, it was a
crazy.
prototype. It was just a 3D printed prototype, and then another prototype, and then it was just like, it wasn't even a functioning shell. It was just like the controller was just like, oh, here, let's see what this looks like in a 3D space.
They could have drew it on a piece of paper then.
Right?
Hey, what the
It
hell?
would have looked better. It would have looked better.
I will say that's the problem is they're going too fast, like Atari Creep said. They're going too fast. They're trying to please everybody. You're not going to be able to please everybody. You just need to have a product and accept that half of the people are going to be pissed off and the other half are going to be happy about it. So either way you go, you just need to accept that and just do something, because they'll try something and then they'll say, oh, we got it, it's working. And then all of a sudden that other half goes, oh, I hate that. And then they kind of like go, oh, I'm sorry. And then like hide for a minute and then figure out what they're going to do. It's like just
Yeah.
stick with your guns.
I don't even think they have that much thought process. They're
But they
screwing-
are listening. But they are listening to our videos, because if you make a video and I make a video, they listen, and then I see like 5 hours later a thing pop out of like, we're listening to you, and then they'll say our bullet points. They had your bullet points too, our Atari Creep. They had your bullet points. They had my bullet points. So I remember I lectured them for a long time.
That was a while ago. I think they're at that stage where it's like they just need to churn something out to say, hey, look, we did it.
Yeah. And then that's another reason why, is because they don't want a lawsuit, because they've lost so much money in already the other lawsuit that they're dealing with. So they need to pull out a product, whether it's crap or not now, because there's so many people talking about it.
Well, the funny thing is, you can pre-order this thing on Walmart's website, so I figured it was pretty legit at that point. You know, they must have
No,
some
the
of them.
reason why they're pre-ordering it now is because they're actually in production. The backers and everybody that waited forever, they're gonna have to wait longer, because they made a deal with GameStop and Walmart in order to get like better way to get it going.
Good one to go with.
Yeah.
Yeah. The backers
because
were supposed to have had it just past December.
Yeah.
And that was the third promise date, by the way.
yeah, they've been saying that it's gonna be out this date, and then it passes, and then nothing happens. They don't say anything. They go ghost on you for like a good week. Then they come back and say, "We're very sorry. We're working on this," and he show us a picture of some like mock-up of something, and show us a picture of somebody holding something excited and happy about it. Tired of seeing that. I've gotten to the point where I have said that I will not buy it until it's on clearance and it's about to be like dead, and then I'll buy it when it's like $25.
Heck yeah. For a shelf piece.
Yeah, just
And that's
to have
when I'll
it.
buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's going to come
because
out.
I'm not.
I'm definitely not going
I
to buy
made
it
the
when they release
decision.
it.
Well, it's only so much
Yeah.
because it's priced, and it's just been shady from the beginning. They've lied. They've showed demos of games, and the developer comes out and says, "You know what? We never okayed it for the system because no one knows what the system is." They had this big fiasco not too long ago. Reddit, a subreddit.
It was subreddit.
Yeah, somebody made a subreddit for this whole thing and invited Atari in. By the way, they were invited to come in and moderate this thing. And they started deleting people's posts that they didn't like, that were saying, hey, you were supposed to give us updates during the summer. You haven't given us anything. The summer's almost over. They actually got kicked out of their own subreddit.
Yeah.
Wow.
For not answering questions that were legit questions, but deleting them as well. You can't make this shit up when it comes to this Atari VCS stuff.
And then the problem is they're trying to make it PC and PR as best as possible, and it's not going to happen because you have millions of people watching now because there's so much money thrown into this.
Mm-hmm.
If it was just a couple hundred, couple thousand, whatever, it would have been just fine. They would have taken the money and run like they did with those watches that they made a long time ago that they never released properly.
That's still in litigation too, by the way, but the guy who designed it disappeared.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they keep going into this business venture with somebody and then regret it later because they realize that something's not working out. And it's like, how can we forget the game that we all saw get almost never made, the tycoon game?
Mm-hmm.
It's another one. It's like so many things that everybody just keeps forgetting about and just going to the next Atari thing.
Even before that, as soon as this guy Michael bought the name Atari after they filed Chapter 11, I don't know if you remember, and I may have done a video about this. They came out real quick that next fall with, hey, Atari's back, and they showed a bunch of tablets that looked like cell phones.
I saw that.
Some kind of a video game system, and that's all you saw, and then it just disappeared. Then they came out with that watch thing, and you're right. And it's like they just have a history of saying, hey, we wanted this. Oh, can't happen. We're gone.
Yeah. The only thing that ever works is if they just give the license to somebody and somebody else does it.
Yeah, and even that's like Blaze just came out with those two tabletop cards, and they couldn't even get the Pong right,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's the sad part.
Yeah.
It's going to be like the PlayStation Classic and flop.
Yeah.
Even if it does come out.
Yeah.
Well, for some
I'm gonna
people,
wait- I'm
that
gonna wait till
PlayStation
clearance.
Classic did not flop. It actually helped because all they did was mod it with a USB stick.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
when that first came out,
$20
nobody was
console.
buying it.
Yeah, I know. They had to clearance it down. Like,
$20.
yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I would
that's
pay
what I
for
said.
it. Honestly,
I'm waiting.
20.
I'm waiting for the Atari console to be $25, and then I'm just gonna buy it. And I'm gonna buy the controller and the other controller, and I'm gonna call it a day.
Nice.
That's it.
I'm
I'm
with
waiting.
you on that. We will both be waiting.
Yeah.
I'm waiting, and actually, I'm being honest. If I miss the market when it's like clearance down and everybody buys it, and I can't get it, I'm not gonna be hurt. I'm gonna be like, okay, oh well.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sure you'll be able
Pretty
to find
much.
them.
Somebody will sell it.
Yeah. eBay.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm much more happy to get the Intellivision Amico.
Oh,
I'd rather do that.
I'm just surprised they raised that much money. So many people must be waiting, wanting this thing, or
Oh, that's the problem. They wanted it, and they heard Atari, and they don't do their research and see the debacle that has happened to so many other things. They just see Atari. What? You're making a new console? Where do I sign up? And it's like, yes, I love Atari. I love what they're trying to do. It's just I lectured them so many times and I've given up. There's only so many times you can tell a person, please don't do this. I don't like it. And you finally just say, I'm done. I'm walking away from this bad relationship.
Mhm.
Poor
Yeah.
Atari.
Atari's been dead for years, though. As far as I'm concerned, anything that had anything to do with what Atari is or was has been gone for a very long time. I'm not even going to say that this company is destroying Atari. They're just burying the name a little deeper. That's all, really.
Yeah, it's just their
The legacy's still
need
there.
to have somebody. Yeah, they just need to have a better person working at the top level, and then
I think it just
Yeah.
needs to go quietly into the night. I
don't know.
honestly would be sad if the brand itself just ceased to exist because of, I mean, all the debacles. Not even just with this guy and his two buddies that work with him, but it's just been a shamble of an organization for at least a decade. I
Yeah.
think it's run its course. I think it needs to take a nap and just stay there.
Take
think
a
what
tranquilizer and don't wake up.
It
Yeah,
comes
I
a
think what
time
they need
where,
to do
you
is just
know,
sell the
quality
stuff.
over quantity when it comes to time here, and we need to put it to sleep and just be like, you know, remember Atari? Yeah, that was good shit.
So, speaking of Atari,
Yeah,
what's your thoughts on the Atari Jaguar? It wasn't really mentioned in the podcast so far.
I I have mixed feelings about it. I had a buddy of mine, Mike, who was a diehard Atari fan to the end, and he got Jaguar day one. He got the C day one, and I honestly wasn't impressed with it at the time, and I'm still not that impressed with it for what it was supposed to have been at the time. I do think it's competent enough. It was just too complicated to actually do anything with. If you want to get into the whole tech thing, we can do that too. But I could take it or leave it. I think it's a lot better than people give it credit for. I think it falls under the whole ET and Pac-Man being worst games of all time kind of category. It's been puked on so much internet-wise, especially with these higher known personalities, that it's become part of the idiom within our collecting and geekdom, so to speak, that it's a hated console. And I think it deserves a lot more credit than it gets, but I'm not going to by any means say that it's on the same shelf as, say, the Super Nintendo or the Genesis or anything like, or even the Turbo Graphics. It is what it is for what it was at its time. It had potential that was never tapped into, and that's just sad about it. But I don't think it's all that bad.
Do you think it was a price point, maybe when they first released it, that's the reason why it didn't?
The price point could have killed it. Yeah, I think it comes down to class. no games, no sale.
Right.
If you don't have anything for your console, killer app, so to speak. If you look back at the Atari 600, it was still called the VCS before '82. It didn't do well. It didn't. It came out in '77. It didn't do well until about '81, I believe it was, when they finally ported Space Invaders.
Right.
All of a sudden, it became a household name. Hardly anyone knew who Atari was until then. But once Space Invaders was ported over, you couldn't keep them on the shelf. And I think it didn't have its own Space Invaders, so to speak.
Yeah, it didn't have that niche game that really wanted to bring people in.
Right. Atari had to develop their own stuff. They had a couple third-party developers, but because of the architecture, they claimed it was a 64-bit system, but it was really a couple of 32-bit systems working in this weird conjunction to create that. And it was tough to develop for. So developers, one, didn't want to touch it. Two, they looked at the Atari's history and said, we don't want to develop for it. So they just didn't have the library. I mean, there are some, like Alien vs. Predator is a fantastic game.
Yes, it is.
Great.
Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
What's that?
Dan, I
I'll
got
let
a
them
copy
explain
from
it.
Dan.
Yeah, go ahead, Bones.
I ended up getting a copy from Dan. He
Okay.
had one that didn't work, and he told me if I could fix it, I could have it. And I got it working, so now I have Alien vs. Predator on my Jaguar.
Nice. What do you think of it?
Oh, I love the game.
Yeah.
The Predator is garbage. Let's be completely honest here. The Predator is straight up garbage.
Well,
He
it's
doesn't hit anybody. He's bad. I don't like him. I mean,
unfortunately, it's more fun to play with the Marine, and that's the only part about it I don't like. But
yeah, I agree.
Alien-
The Jaguar, though, you can tell they didn't have put much effort into it because you got a controller with tons of useless buttons on it.
yeah,
And you can tell that those are there and could have been utilized in some fashion, and they never were. But they were also positioned in such a shit spot that, it makes it even harder to use. Even the overlays, you barely used them. They were just to make it look cool, I guess.
it's so weird that they went in that direction. I mean, if you think that type of controller was the early '80s, and now we're talking what '90s.
Yeah, that's what I think also didn't help with the overlays. They were so old fashioned.
Mhm.
The other people were like, "Why?" And then you lost them. That was another thing. You lost the overlay. You're like, "I don't even know what these buttons are for."
Yeah.
Oh, and they never utilized it much anyway for the Jaguar, anyhow. So, at least with the Intellivision, they were functional.
Well, I know, too, the other problem with that damn Jaguar, the connection, the cart connection into the system is just, at times, a nightmare. I know, what the heck is it? That stupid Where'd You Learn How to Fly lady, that flying game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that game was bad.
It must have took me an hour to get that damn game to work in my system.
Oh, no kidding.
Even when you get it to
Yeah.
work, it's not worth your time.
I was pissed.
I would have taken it as an omen the first 2 times it didn't work.
Well, it was the only game I had when I got my Jaguar.
Oh,
Okay,
that's a bad
2K.
game to start off the Jaguar with.
Yeah, I had to rip the whole system apart, clean everything. It wasn't very reliable. I just ripped apart my 2600 about 2 weeks ago, cleaned absolutely everything up on it, the board, made sure everything had good connections, the solders were good, and threw a game in, bad boy fired right up. Go and grab the Jaguar, throw a game in there, you'll hear crickets going in the background because all you're going to get is a growl and a red screen.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions for Chris? Atari Creep?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Bones?
Yeah, I think I'm good, man.
Okay, well, let's do our last segment, logo sleeve of the month. Game of the month. Linda, what's your game of the month?
The game of the month is Mario Odyssey.
Good pick. I like that game. Dan, game of the month.
Since we're talking about Atari, I'll pick an Atari game, but my game of the month is Adventure, soon to be a 3D sleeve, hopefully.
Nice.
He stockpiled 3D sleeves. Bones, what's your game of the month?
You know what? I'm gonna go with Final Fight 2.
Yeah.
Atari Creep, your game of the month?
I'll probably have to say, and this is going to be an odd one for me personally, F-Zero.
Nice.
That's a good game.
Well,
I
you know
like
what? I
that.
don't have any history with it. I'm not very good at it, but we're doing a high score squad challenge on it over at this website, Atari.io. And it's the first one of the year. So I'm going to be struggling to play that one 2 or 3 weeks.
You'll enjoy it. It's really not that bad.
Yeah, I've played it a few times. I just never got into it. Like everyone else has already been destroying it. Wow. Wow. Because I understand it's a classic. I can totally appreciate that. But I've just been one of those bums who never got into it. So now I feel the loss already.
You're behind.
And my game of the month is actually Haunted House, just because I'm doing a 3D sleeve of that.
Heck
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
So
Thanks.
I want to thank everybody for coming, especially you,
Yeah.
the Atari Creep, for being
Yeah,
on
thanks
the
for having me,
podcast.
guys.
You're more than welcome to come back.
Right on.
Yeah.
Thank the normal podcast crew here.
Yep.
And as always, don't blow, just sleeve.
Cheerio.